Should be. All right, all right. Welcome to Dirt Diamond Sports Talk with Ryan and my man, Wally. We're here on a happy Monday morning, start of a fresh week, beginning of the All-Star break. I say happy Monday, but this last series was a little bit of a struggle for us.
This last week was kind of a struggle for us. I mean, it's like they for 2 weeks they had 4A players play literally out of their heads. You know, look at the Phillies series. They score 6 runs and win the series. You know, it's 2 weeks ago now. I mean, Cooper Hummel hits a home run into the bullpen, which is, you know, a shot. I was fortunate enough, or maybe unfortunate enough, to see Hunter Brown's last 2 starts at the stadium, and man, they just looked they looked ridden hard and put to bed wet. Yeah, ridden hard and put to bed wet. They were out of energy.
Yeah, they all look a little bit tired, and rightfully so, man. I mean, this team has been treading through mud. It seems like, just with the injuries that we've had, with some of the schedule. You know, I was going back and looking, and I didn't pull all the specific numbers and all of that, but I don't think that there's any team in baseball that has played more over 500 teams than the Houston Astros.
No, I read something the same thing. You know, I read where they have the easiest schedule from here to the end of the season, here to the end of the season, which, you know, if you just reverse that out, by definition, they must have had the toughest schedule coming in. You know, the thing that happened in these last couple of series is they lost games in the ways they had been winning games before. You look at the 2 home runs Hader gave up in against Cleveland and against the Rangers, and I think combined it was 670 feet. You know, they just the one against the Guardians. We were sitting off the third baseline, and it looked just like an easy fly ball, but it just kept going and going and going. And a friend of mine I was with, we just looked at each other and said a couple of bad words and said, "Can you believe that?" And he was a college catcher, so I mean, and you look at the pitch that was hit on the replay, up and in. Maybe he could have gotten it a little more up, a little more in, but I think it was a 3-2 count. So it wasn't as if he could throw one really off the plate and make Gonzalez chase it. He made a good pitch. The guy hit it. You know, it reminds me, I remember a few years ago when Verlander was here, they were playing the Brewers, and he nailed it and had a 10-pitch at bat. And the guy hit a home run. Verlander said, remember that? He said, "Hey, I gave good pitches. He knocked them off. He won." Sometimes that happens. Sometimes, you know, you get the dog, and sometimes the dog bites you, and that's just how it is.
Yep. Absolutely. Let's talk about the past week, maybe in a little bit more detail. We kind of just touched on it there. A lot of what we call 4A or quadruple A players really kind of stepping up for the Astros lately. You know, just despite kind of not a great series against the Rangers. But we've talked about this in previous pods, and even in our you know, when we were previous podcasts, how there always seems to be a way, and whether it's a culture thing or whether it's this Astros organization being able to go out and really identify talent to a certain extent that some of the rest of the league's not able to. But the Astros have a knack for really bringing in, again, what we call a 4A player, you know, some guy that either is bouncing back and forth between the majors and AAA, or a guy that's a waiver wire dude, a Rule 5 draft guy that didn't make it somewhere else, a guy that was DFA'd and, you know, they signed to a minor league deal and then bring up whatever it is. There always seems to be a guy, you know, with a name that you don't recognize. You have no idea what history he has behind him, that shows up at a time when the Astros really need somebody to fill in a spot in the roster or on the field, and they make something happen. How many times have we texted back and forth over the last couple of days, last few days, last two series, the name's Short. I think that this Astros team really has a knack of filling in the holes with some of these games.
They do, and one of the things that the red flag that I see is that this is the first time, at least in this year, in the last couple of years, where they've had to use a critical mass of those players for a critical period, for a longer period of time. Some of the great managers you talk about is they will use these players nobody knows, and Espada is a good manager. They know where to use these guys. Well, they can cover their weaknesses, and now when you're having to play Cooper Hummel, the Cooper Hummels of the world every day or most every day, people start getting another book on them. They're going to have more holes. The good pitchers are going to know how to hit those holes. And when you've got a four-player tail of your lineup, four-batter lineup tail, that's really, really hard to pitch around or to hit around. For example, you hit the first, second, and third guy up. Maybe you get one guy on, so you get 5. Then you've got 6 through 9, which you have maybe 1 or 2 good hitters, and it's hard to score runs. It's hard for Espada to manage around that. To his credit, he hasn't panicked. If you'd taken a look at where the Astros have been and what they've done and what they've had to deal with, and if you'd said, okay, we'll start the second half of the season 5 games ahead, and you're 17 games over 500, 16 games over 500, take that bet, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think at the beginning of the season, there's a lot of people that if you would have spelled it out the way that it is right now, even Astros fans would have kind of probably chuckled a little bit and said, we'll see. And then, there's a lot of people that coming into even just the last month of baseball and looking at what's happened to this Astros team as far as injuries and, movement around the roster. It's incredible that this team is 56-40 and leads the division by 5 games. It really is incredible. And again, considering who they've played and having what could be, if not the hardest, one of the hardest pre-All-Star break schedules in the league, it's actually pretty incredible. Not that we're just 2 homers here for the Astros, but looking at this through pretty clear lenses, it's an incredible story what the Astros have really been able to pull off here, again, especially over the last month of baseball.
Yeah, let me give you some average numbers for the last 2 series. Hummel in the Guardian series, Hummel was 091, Trammell 273. Short was 0 for 11. I'll let you figure that out. Corona, couple of at-bats, no hits. Then you get to the Rangers series for the
couple of walks, though. Pretty good at-bats there.
Couple of pretty good at-bats.
Couple of walks. Yep.
Couple of pretty good at-bats. Boy, that walk that he got the other night, Garcia for the Rangers, he was pissed.
He was so pissed.
He was mad. Matthews is nothing. Trammell 2 in the Rangers series. Hummel was 0 for 5. Short was 2 for 4. So you take those guys and add them up, you've got an average well under 200. Now, give Short credit. That was a major league at bat for what he had the other night when he went that ball down the right field line. Because you could just see in Espada's eyes, man, if we don't score here, I don't know what the heck we're going to do.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you just run out of answers, you run out of players. It's just, since we're talking about it, a shout out has to go to Joe Espada. Again, we talk about it. We talk about it every show. How he just is so calm and so cool and seems to make as many of the right moves as you can. I mean, I know there's people who will say, why doesn't Diaz go and talk to the pitcher more? These pitchers have to learn to work their way out of these things. They got to learn. They got to grow up.
Yep. Yeah, so I think when you look at the job that Espada's done, and tip the cap to Dana too for, I guess, giving him giving him at least some, like I said, some of these 4A players that keep being brought up somehow or another fill in holes. And so I think Dana and the coaching staff Joe and the coaching staff, seem to be given pretty decent gifts by Dana and the scouting teams. But definitely game to game and in game, you've got to give props to Joe Espada. I mean, to be able to play and put in the guys that he is putting in, making some of the moves that he's doing, keeping the morale high despite all of the injuries and everything that's going on. I was one of the guys that gave Dusty a lot of crap for the way that he managed in-game at times and roster construction and some of that stuff. But one of the things that I would never really ever be able to give Dusty a hard time about was clubhouse culture. He was a coach. He was a manager that everybody loved. He had a coaching staff that everybody loved. And, it feels like Joe, which one of the things that people were a little bit questionable about coming into managing this clubhouse was, is Joe too close to the players, being the coach that he was, to really take a leadership role and guide these guys and build a culture and lead this clubhouse? I think we see what the true answer to that is based on everything that's kind of gone on. And how this has played out with all of the difficulty and the hardships that this team has been given and has faced. So yes, definitely a hat tip to Joe Espada and the coaching staff for holding this thing together.
Not just survived, but excelled. Hey, before we move on, okay, we've got basically, if you want to call Matthews in this group, you've got 4 guys who I'd call 4A players right now. Matthews, because he hadn't done it yet. Matthews, Trammell, Hummel, Short. Okay, Myers will come back. Pena comes back for sure. Jordan comes back when Jordan comes back. Pick those 4 guys. Which one guy stays?
I'd almost have to say Trammell because of his
that's who I've got.
Versatility.
He just, when I look at Hummel, he's gotten some big hits. But something about Trammell, he kind of looks more the part.
Yeah, he's made some really big league catches. He's had some pretty good and decent at bats. I'd like to see a little bit more. But I think, like you said, the guy that kind of looks like he fits more and plays the role and has a bit more of a major league presence.
I
would
think
have
so.
To be Trammell for me. Yeah,
I'd like to see a little less swing and miss. We'll cut down on the swing, go the other way more, although you did a home run to left field. Yeah. But just, he's really a good athlete. So put the ball in play and use his athletic ability.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, if he makes contact, that's the thing. And we've talked about that, philosophy here lately. And I think that we've seen that play out, maybe not to the benefit of some of these younger guys, is let's swing and make contact. Because a lot of those guys maybe they're not just the best contact hitters, but they're up there swinging away and taking shots at least. But if we can get some more contact out of those guys, it seems like they've got the strength, they've got the power, can make some things happen if they're able to make some good contact with the ball.
Yeah, last 2 series averages, Astros have averaged about 28% strikeouts. They're usually at the 21% range. So you can see some of these players that are doing their best, but, that's who they are.
Yep, you can see the effects. Well, we're rolling into the All-Star break. What are some things that might stand out to you about how the first half has gone, despite some of the things that we've already discussed?
I'd look, when you look at the individual players and you compare them against the competition at that position, really the only 2 guys that have not played at the top of the level is like Diaz and Walker. I took a quick look at all the catchers, look at all the first basemen, and they're in the 8 or 9 range out of 15 in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Altuve's been, I'm going to put Altuve at second base. He's as good as anybody else at second base. We know Pena's the first. Paredes is, in that top quarter in third baseman. Myers is in the top quarter. Smith is certainly in the top half. The left field has been kind of a mishmash, so it's hard to rate him. Hader and Andres Munoz have been probably the two best closers, but then again, they both Hader's had a couple of cheap home runs hit. Munoz got picked up by the Yankees. Did you see where the Yankees were so blatant about calling about he was tipping his pitches that they'd hold their hands up like that when or throw them out like that when he was throwing a slider.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That. Ridiculous. I mean, I guess don't blame him, I guess.
No, but I thought it was hilarious. They were so blatant about it. It said they just had picked it up, so it wasn't like they hadn't had a chance to do anything discreet, do a discreet sign. And it sounded like it looked like it just really got him flustered.
Yeah. Yep. I think so. Well, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah. But Hader's had 3 home runs in his last 4 games. I would put it to you that 2 of those home runs were just, they were Crawford box home runs. Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Cheap. Cheap ones.
And our bullpen's been as good as anybody. So
Absolutely.
When you look at why the Astros doing so well, I mean, on a position by position basis, they've been best in the league.
Yep.
Things to look at. Our slug and OPS has to be better. OPS is about 720.
Mm-hmm.
That's league average about.
Yep.
Last year it was 736. Year before it was 768. Home runs are tracking on to being about the same. The doubles are down pretty significantly. Triples are nothing, but the thing we're not doing is we're still scoring about a quarter of a run less per game.
Yeah.
As far as what the pitchers are doing, pitchers have been outstanding. ERA is 3.62 as compared to 3.74 last year. Their ERA at 3.62 is pretty insane. Starters 3.80, bullpen 3.32. You can't ask for much more than that on a season by season or game by game basis, because especially in the bullpen. I mean, think what the Dodgers bullpen did when we blew them up for 18.
Well, I mean, if you look over the course of the first half of the season, and I think, between off, if you had to look at it and say between the offense and the pitching, which one really stands out the most?
Pitching.
For me, it's pitching by far. You've got the 2 big name guys at the top, right? You've got Hunter Brown, who, what is it? He's got an 8.3 now, even despite his last 2 really not great.
Like
8-3 record, under a sub-2 ERA, a sub-1 WHIP.
9-4.
9-4. Okay, so 9-4, probably 100 innings in and around there, and so 104 innings. There you go. So ridiculous. I mean, I think everybody had high hopes and had high expectations from him coming in. But I don't think that they necessarily had these types of numbers and this type of performance expectations coming from Hunter. That's been huge for the Astros.
Yeah, I still call Framber the ace. Because when you
10 wins, right?
Yeah, he's got 10 wins, and just on the performance in general. One of the things I like to track is percentage of strikes as compared to strikes as compared to total pitches.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter, the average is right at 65%, 66%, whereas Hunter's at 63 and Framber's right at 65. Framber's trending the right way, Hunter's trending the wrong way. It looks like in these last few outings, the batters have just been waiting Hunter out a little bit. If he can just pumps more strikes, get the pitch count down, get an extra inning out of it. And yeah, he's getting he's getting 6 innings. He's only not thrown 6 innings twice, no, 3 times. Did it only through 5 the other day. But it seems like he has to work a lot harder than Fromber has. And here in these last several outings, man, Fromber's been nails.
Yep. Yep.
And one thing you and I talked about a couple of shows ago, and in this last series, we said the pitching's got to do well until the hitting catches up. Well, these last 2 series, the pitching came down to earth, and the batters were about the same, and maybe not quite as good. So we saw what happened. We got to hit more, because we can't expect the pitchers to be this good all the time.
Yep. Burning question, I think, for a lot of Astros fans. What do we do with Lance?
Don't let him pitch at home. I mean,
brutal.
Yeah, you hope. Be interested in what you hope that this is still part of the process.
I mean, you kind of have to, I guess.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of options, do they?
But that's where I'm kind of going with this is you're kind of relying on him right now. And when you've got you've got Gusto and Gordon behind him, who knows if Garcia or Javier's really coming back at what point after the All-Star break. You got to run Lance out there.
Yeah, and you back him up with kind of a tandem approach, I think.
Yeah.
You tell Lance, and he's enough of a pro to understand it, because they're coming out Seattle, at Arizona coming out, so they're going to get tested early.
Yeah.
Tell Lance, go out and throw the best you can, give everything you've got, and know that Gusto, for example, and that's who I think would be the good backup, is right there.
Yeah.
And you have him on a short hook, and you tell Gusto, be ready. That's what happened the other day. Gusto gave up a late run or two, but for the most of his outing, he was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. What do you think about bringing Hector back?
He's been good so far. Everybody loved him when he was here. He's another one. They just put the magic dust on him, and he becomes a decent hitter.
I don't know, man. I think we were in the thread, and somebody brought up, we bring Neris back. I was one of the guys that was like, why?
Yeah, me too. You and I were on the same boat.
Why?
I would love to see Hector back, just so if they win the division, just to see Hector in the corner holding court and smoking cigars.
I know. The guy is classic, and I mean, if he finishes out his career here in Houston, so be it. I mean, he's such a fit here with these guys, really, from a non-baseball standpoint, really. Yeah. I mean, he's iconic here in Houston from that standpoint. As iconic as I guess a relief guy can really be, that's kind of been in and out. But, he's already pitched 3 games or so.
Just been
scoreless so far and been fine. So if we can keep it that way, that'd be great.
I guess most teams have somebody like that. Like the Braves have Jesse Chavez. Jesse Chavez is, old as a Methuselah, and he's
yep.
And he comes in, pitches 2 games, gets DFA'd, goes to the minors. They bring him back. He gets like DFA'd 6 times a season, and still comes back and throws about 40 innings.
Yep. Yeah. So crazy. Man, I think that we've kind of covered a bit of the season. I mean, the offense, I would love some more offense during homestands, man. I'd love some more offense at home, I think.
What I would like to see, they still swing at a lot of pitches. They're I don't know how you change that, because their philosophy is when you find a good pitch, swing at it. Wait for a good one, find a pitch and swing at it.
Yeah.
They see right at 4, a little north of 4 pitches a game.
Yeah.
Or 4 pitches in at bat. Not terrible. If you get to 5, then you wonder, are you letting too many good ones go by? I mean,
yeah.
The issue with them, the average is there. They just need to be situationally better. That's where Caratini's so good.
Yeah. I agree.
He's one of the one of the guys on that team that he's going to wait it out, and he may not do it every time, but he's going to wait it out and find the pitch that he needs to hit a sac fly if that's what's needed.
Yep. Oh, here's something that I didn't hit that's still in my notes. This could be one of the this could be one of the dark horse keys to the incredible first half that this team has had that might not get as much play and as much discussion as it deserves. The Astros have been 19-8 in one-run games.
Yeah, and you see them putting that graphic up more and more every game.
This team struggled so bad last year, and I didn't pull up last year's statistics and
they were like
numbers,
600.
They were horrible.
Yeah, like 600, 500, something like that.
Yeah, it was so bad.
I mean, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't very good either.
So what is this? What is this? I don't know. What's the difference? What's changed?
Well, the bullpen's better.
They're okay.
Back end of the bullpens. The back of the bullpens. The back of the bullpen's much better. I think they're catching the ball a little better this year.
Yep. I think
I don't have any numbers to.
I don't either. So just kind of flying off the cuff and thinking, from a gut standpoint, at least from the majority of the season, I also feel as though the back half of this lineup has performed much better than we've seen in seasons past. And, until Espada started really moving guys around a lot more, you had guys at the back of this lineup that were hitting the ball.
Yeah, Cam Smith
making things happen.
Yeah, Smith was. What do you think about Cam and 2? Do you think he's up there just because they got nobody else, or do you think they ought to move him down to 4? Or?
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of both. He was hitting well. He was doing really well. I think he deserved a promotion. He deserved a little bit of movement. And I think that there for a while it was working really good. But now I think it's almost a matter of necessity. I think really
they don't have any. He's got that right field stroke, so you think he'd do well at 2, but it feels like he's pressing right now.
I feel like it is. It's that too. A couple of the guys are. I think that they're maybe feeling a little bit of the pressure. One from hey, look at who all's behind us. When you got guys like Hummel, Trammell, Short, you got names like that. Coming up, bringing up the rear. You almost feel like a little bit of a pressure because you performed so well throughout the first part of the season. So I can see that. They need this break, man. They need this break.
Well,
we need some of these injuries to heal up and get a few guys back.
I haven't heard hide nor hair on who's going to be back for the Seattle series. I mean, you got to think that they're putting a magic wand over Pena and Jake, and because I think Jake's was retroactive, so he should be ready for the Seattle series, and Pena hopefully is ready.
Yeah, I think so. Pena was taking infield during the Rangers series, so he was working out on the field. So from what I read and what I heard, he was looking good, and I think he'd be back after the break. I have not seen or heard anything recent on Jake.
Have heard nothing.
So
just getting one of these guys back lets Dubon start filling holes.
Yeah.
Doing what Dubon does best. Jordan's seeing the doctor on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that the doctor is going to tell them if they can start swinging the bat or not. There's your trade deadline pickup.
Yeah.
On the
13th, team's pregame show, Dana Brown said Jake Myers will miss at the very minimum 3+ weeks on his right calf strain.
Oh God! Yeah,
so it'll be August before we see Jake.
Oh gosh! So we got to have Pena coming back.
Got to.
I mean, this is the thing about it. You go against Seattle 3 out, and it's they're surging. Thank God they're on the break because they just abused the Tigers.
Yeah.
I mean, they beat them like a rented mule.
Yeah.
They just beat the daylight.
Could you imagine the healthy lineup right now?
No, because I
Pena,
haven't seen it all year.
Pena, Paredes, Altuve, Alvarez, Cam Smith, Walker, whatever, some combination of Caratini, Diaz, and Jake Myers.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a winning lineup.
Instead, you've got Paredes, Smith, Walker, some combination of Caratini, Diaz, Dubon, and then some combination of Short, Hummel, Trammell.
Yeah, just guys, just grab bag of guys.
Altuve, yeah, man.
Just
Get some rest, fellas. Get some
yeah,
rest.
that's right. Take
All
some
right, let's tap. We're running on the 30-minute mark. Yeah.
Take some PEDs. It can't help it. It can't hurt if you get caught.
A little bit of biofreeze, guys. Let's tap around the league a little bit. The Red Sox 10 in a row. Who saw that coming?
That you look at their real quick, and we can move on. Look at their teams that they were playing. They were playing the bottom fishers of the league. Give them credit for winning 7 or winning 10, because most teams, even if you won 7 or 8 of them, they'd say that's good. So winning 10 on their own, tap them on the back. They've done it without Bregman. Bregman's back.
Yep. The M's abused the Tigers.
Yes, they did. When you look at the scores, it was about the same as when the Astros played the Dodgers. You know, they won 8-4. They won 15-7. So that's 23, and then you're talking about they scored like 30. It's like 35-9 or something like that. Some obnoxious number.
Yep.
Just beat the daylights out of them and beat Scooble.
Yeah. And I don't have chyrons for this, but how about George Springer, AL Player of the Week honors?
And not in the All-Star game.
No.
That's dumb.
That's
Springer's
crazy.
been good. Springer's been good all year, and they were. You look at a guy like Julio Rodriguez. I mean, he's a name, but put him side by side, and you know, take the faces off of it, and you tell me who you'd put in there. Yeah. George deserves to be on the All-Star game. Yeah. Of course, at his age, he probably good for some time off.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you see Paredes out? You see Paredes opted out?
No.
Yeah, he opted out. He spent time with family.
Yes, family stuff. I did see that. Yes,
so something came up in the family, which I don't know what it is. They'll never give details on that, but he didn't do it.
Yeah, that's okay. Manny Machado hit his 2000th career hit. Had his 2000th career hit. That's pretty notable. Cal Raleigh. Is this guy juicing or what? This guy has never hit more than 34 or 35 home runs in his entire career in a season.
I don't know.
And he's got 38 this year. What's going on?
It says something about the time that we're in right now that the first thing you think is somebody juicing. And amazing is that he's a catcher and plays a lot of games behind the plate. And you know, Bench had a first half not like this, but close to it, and then fell off in the second half. Of course, Bench was catching 150 games a year, but you just wonder how a catcher can keep this up.
Yep. I don't know. All right, let's talk about the All-Star game. It is All-Star break. Big question for a lot of people, and a lot of people are just kind of like, Do you still care? Do you still care about the All-Star game? Does it matter?
Yeah, you and I were texting back and forth, and I think I posted this. Jim Memolo with MLB Network Radio, who's just a hilarious listen. He's only on the weekends. He and Jeff Joyce do a show together. But he said he was kicking it around and had a little time on his hand. He said he specifically said the home run derby, but you can extrapolate it to the All-Star game. Reminds him, what did I call it?
What did you call
it? Oh man, I just got a senior moment.
That's okay. Let me see. I got it here somewhere.
It was kind of like roller derby, or just, you know, it was the slam dunk contest.
Yeah.
He called it like the slam dunk contest. Sorry, everybody. I am 64, so sometimes that happens. He called it the version of the NBA slam dunk contest because
Yeah,
you've got the deal, you've got the game, but the people you want to see decide they don't want to play.
right.
And so now you're looking at like at third base. I don't know if anybody's going to replace Paredes. They may have been too late. But
I
if
don't know.
somebody replaces it, you're talking about the fifth and sixth players at a
Yeah,
position. You're talking league average players now being called all stars.
right. Well, what about the Brewers pitcher, this
I thought
Jacob
that was a joke.
Miziorowski or whatever his name is?
Have you
Is that
seen him
not the
pitch yet?
biggest joke?
Have you seen him pitch?
I've seen highlights. I've seen
I saw a
clips and
game he
highlights.
pitched. He's really good,
Yeah,
but it's pathetic.
I
And
mean the kid's
the
thrown
The
25
Phillies got
innings.
upset.
Yeah, rightfully so. I mean
Yeah, absolutely.
the kid's thrown 25 innings. You've got 24 pitchers in the league that have thrown 100 plus innings that are in and around 3.25 ERA that very easily could have deserved a phone call.
They
But
just
you're going
earn
to
it.
grab this kid because of 25 innings.
Yeah, earn it.
Yeah.
Earn it. Nothing against the kid. It wasn't his fault, but earn it.
Yep. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm not too big on the All-Star game. I don't care. I don't think the players honestly care.
Used
It's an
to.
exhibition thing. Yep. You've
Used to
told the
care a lot.
story. Yep. I think we told the story on the last one. It used to mean something, but now it's just, I guess you let your players go out there and pray to God they don't get hurt.
Yeah.
So
Like
I mean,
Rose,
the home run derby is still pretty cool. It's fun to watch. I mean, it's the players get into it.
You were talking about a different All-Star. Rose told a story. Said they'd get in the lineup or in the locker room before the game. They said, "We are the better league. We're going to show out. We're going to try to win this game. We're going to show that our league is better." You didn't have the interleague games. It was still very much league against
It's
league,
true.
and
It's true. Didn't happen until the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Last couple of minutes. Post All-Star break, things to look for from the Astros first, and then maybe a few things around the league. What do you think?
Tell me in the Astros after the first road trip. That first road trip is survive. They survive, then they come back with the A's and a fairly manageable schedule. After that, they go the A's. Let's see, yeah, they've got the A's coming in to start off with, and then they've got a homestand, and then they should be okay if they can just survive that first road trip. They've got A's
road
and
trip
then
to Seattle, Arizona.
They got the Athletics,
Oakland.
and they've got the Nats coming in.
Yep.
Then they go to Boston. They got a long road trip to Boston, Miami, and New York. But if they can come out of that road trip, and who knows, Arizona might be selling guys. That could be a big deal.
They might be. Well, I mean, and that's what we've got 2 weeks left for that. I don't expect there to be a big splash Houston's end. There's just no trade capital in the Astros system for them to be able to go do anything unless they take on a big contract from somebody in exchange for cash considerations or, some notable single A pitcher prospect or something like that. So, which, not to say that that's not something that they could do. You've seen them do some other crazy things, but it would be interesting to see if the Astros decide to go try to make a move and bring in a rental to wrap up the season.
I don't see a rental, and I don't necessarily think this would happen, but if the Red Sox offered Jarren Duran, I would be interested to see what the Astros could put together. If you look at where the musical chairs has been in left field.
Mm-hmm.
That allows Altuve to come back and play second base. You live with his defense to take his bat. Duran's left-handed. You wonder what, again, to your point, what can the Astros offer?
Yeah. The one thing the Astros have is a lot of pretty highly regarded lower level pitching prospects. That's the only thing they have.
Yeah, of course, the Red Sox are looking to win. So you'd have to give somebody who's there. I mean, would you do? We can throw it together, but we really, I don't want to get into for a time aspect,
we got 2 weeks,
that would be
yeah.
that would be the kind of guy that the Astros, I think, could take a shot at.
Yeah, I think so too. I wouldn't be surprised if there's not really good news in the horizon, at least quietly behind the scenes about Garcia or Javier.
Javier's on rehab.
Yeah, if that doesn't go well, I could see them prospecting out a possible starting pitching move. That would be the only thing that I could think. But let's hope that Javier's rehab goes good. Love to see Garcia, make some strides too. That would be pretty cool to get to have those two guys coming back in towards the end of the season there. And man, yeah, if those guys come back healthy to wrap up the season, man, to give this pitching staff some rest with those two guys coming back, that could be key, man. That could be key.
Joe and Dana expect Javier to come back and help them.
Yeah, good deal. Well, any last burning thoughts before we call it a day?
We've kind of hit most of them. It's been the one thing I would tell you, to kind of the sign off is, if somebody had told you that you'd lost 3/5 of your rotation, you had the last 3 weeks with four 4A players in your lineup. Yordan Alvarez was out of the lineup for virtually the whole season, or as far as being productive, and the Astros would be 5 games ahead and 16 games over 500. Would you take that? And I say yes.
Every day,
twice on Sundays.
Every day, and I don't think that most people would. Most people wouldn't have expected that to be the story.
No.
So not one bit. Well, all right. For
Until
Wally,
next time.
I'm Ryan. This is Dirt Diamond Sports Talk. Go Astros.
Got him. You know what I was